Be talking to you about conservatives in the media. There's not very many of those out there, is there? No. But there are some, and this guy is one of them. Ron has been in radio and TV for over 30 years. He's interviewed many political figures, including Mitt Romney, Sarah Palin, Harry Reid, and George Soros. Contributor to Andrew Breitbart's Big Journalism website, which takes a critical look at the media. He currently markets for NFL teams, and he has got a message for you. Welcome to the stage, Ron Futrell.
I guess I'm going to have to stand up to that then, I guess, somehow. When you told me, Jerry, there was going to be a teleprompter here. I only can work with a teleprompter.
Hey, you know what? We're conservatives. We don't have a lot of money. We're grassroots. Sorry.
I guess that could be oh, okay. Thank you. Victor says no new taxes. Victor, what is today? What is today? Everybody out there? Next day, April 15th. What happened? Okay, here's another one. I love history. 99 years ago today, the Titanic sunk in the icy waters of the North Atlantic. 2/3 of the people on that ship died. Today is the anniversary. Tomorrow will be, next year will be the 100th year, the anniversary of the Titanic sinking. Now, how many of you, if you knew that ship was going to sink, would have taken a ticket on it and jumped on that ship? Anybody here? Anybody here willing to take a ticket on the Titanic? What are we doing in our country right now when it comes to our economy? We are absolutely taking a ticket on the Titanic. Paul Ryan has told us we know this ship is going to sink. Other wise people in Washington, D.C., we've told ourselves we know this ship is going to sink. Harry Reid tells us there's no problem with Social Security. He's taking a ticket on the Titanic. The problem with that is it's not just Harry getting on by himself, is he? He's taking all of us with him, is the problem, on that Titanic, and it's bound to sink. We know it's going to sink. Paul Ryan said this is the most predictable economic disaster we could imagine. It is the most predictable economic disaster we can imagine. Paul Ryan is right about that. Unless we turn that ship around and make something good happen. Now, I look back at, I love talking about America. We're close to Fremont Street, by the way. John C. Fremont was the first guy to run as a Republican for president. You realize that? You know, just the street is just up Fremont Street, not too far away. Great Republican, 1856. He ran under the platform, free soil, free men, Fremont. First Republican, that was his campaign slogan back then. I love the tradition of the Republican Party and what it means for this country, what it means in history. This week we celebrated the 150th anniversary of the first battle of the Civil War at Fort Sumter, which wasn't really much of a battle. It lasted 2 days, and the Union got beaten horribly. But my point in this, we have a tremendous tradition as Republicans and then as conservatives. Now, as I say Republicans, quite frankly, there's some Republicans in D.C. We're not too proud of right now. That need another butt kicking, if you want to put it that way. I was talking to a media friend of mine. And he asked me the question about Egypt. He says, you know what's going on in Egypt right now? They got this, and this was a couple of months ago, all these revolutions going on. Is there going to be a revolution like that in this country? Forgive him, he was a media guy. I said, where were you, John? Where were you, John, on November 2nd, 2010? What was that? What do you think happened then? 63 congressional seats, 6 Senate seats, 12 governorships, and almost 700 state house seats flipped. That was not a march in the streets, but you can see it, and the media wants to ignore it. He wanted to ignore it. I said, wait a second, how could you possibly not see that as a revolution akin to what happened without people marching in the streets? But we marched to the ballot box. And I told him that he didn't like hearing the rest of this either. I said, I think November 6, 2012 is coming. I said, this ain't finished. No, we're not done with this. We're not done with this revolution, if you will. We do our revolutions at the ballot box, and that's right now, we're going the right direction, and it's keeping up. And Harry Reid says, no, it's not. It's going to go. The Tea Party's going to go away. I traveled the country doing media with the Tea Party Express last year. Would have been last year, 2 weeks right before the election. We traveled 32 cities in 15 days. I did the media, did stuff on the internet for them. It was tremendous fun. We had a great time. I felt the spirit that I'm feeling here today of the country that wants to change, that wants to return to constitutional principles. I thought of one thing throughout that. I'll tell you what I have enjoyed reading. If you haven't read it recently, most of you have probably read it. Read Common Sense by Thomas Paine. Read it again and again. It's a short book, but I'll tell you, the guy was prophetic about what is happening in our country today. There's so many things that he talks about that are relevant to today. He talks about a monarchy. The problem when you keep perpetuating the same thing and same thing. In that case, it was father to son, as they had in England. But we've got a monarchy, in a sense, that keeps perpetuating the same thing over and over again from one generation to the next in Washington, D.C., without knowing it's time to shake things up a little bit and make a change. He also said something, my favorite line from Common Sense is, "The time has found us." And when he said that, it's absolutely brilliant. When you listen to it, Andrew Cronauer, I had the book on tape and listened to him recite it. And also, if you read those words and you read it in the context of him talking about how the role that God played in the founding of this country, he understood it. Our founders understood it. They knew it. And he knew that the time had found them. That it was the right place at the right time to make something happen. In so many ways, I believe the time has found us right now. And that we are being led by something probably larger than us, bigger than us, greater than us, to motivate us to change this country back to its founding principles. We do it at the ballot box. We do it by challenging those who do not believe in the principles of our nation. And unfortunately, they are everywhere. The media, okay? You want me to talk about the media a little bit? I do write for Andrew Breitbart's BigJournalism.com. Fun website to write for. And Andrew's doing a great job, because what he's doing is he's countering what the media and what Hollywood and what government is saying by taking it straight at him. And when he asked me to write for his site, he says, "You going to be aggressive, Ron? You going to go after him?" I said, "Come on now. That's the only way I know how to be. It's the only way we know how to be." And when I say aggressive, I mean we're not going to accept the premise. We're not going to accept the premise that big government is better government. Because that's the premise that we have been told, is it not? What was the quote from Pelosi the other day? Saying, you know what, elections really shouldn't be as important as they are. Are you kidding me? Elections shouldn't be as important as they are. What she meant was more moderate Republicans need to be up there so they act like us and they talk closer to us, because we got a problem with these Tea Party people up here in Congress that are sort of messing things up. They are absolutely messing things up for Nancy Pelosi and her agenda. And that has to change. We're in a position where we can make a change right now. We have another election coming up. It'll happen before you know it. And if you do not think for a second that it is going to be one of the most filthy, corrupt elections that we have had in our history, think again. Because it's going to be, I'll use the word battlefield. I know people don't, you're not supposed to use terms like that when it comes to politics. No, it'll be a battlefield when it comes to it. And a battlefield in the sense that we all need to go out there and make great things happen, because this country is worth saving. These principles are bigger than us. Our founders knew it. Thomas Paine knew it. And his words inspired a revolution. Now think about that for a second. That pamphlet inspired a revolution, the revolution that we all benefit from. And you know what? Another thing he talks about is that we need to take a look at what the next generation and the next generation and the next generation will think. He was thinking ahead. Thomas Paine was thinking ahead. We need to think about what the next generation and the next generation will think if we do not act right here, right now, to be fiscally responsible in this country to make the right things happen for America. Now, at the time of the Revolution, I want to mention real quick in closing. At the time of the Revolution, Paine points this out, and also it's been pointed out by David McCullough in a great book, 1776, about what the mood was in the country at the time. Roughly, we were split in thirds. You had 1/3 of the people that wanted to leave Great Britain and form their own country. 1/3 of the people that wanted to stay with Britain because it was sort of nice. The mothership took good care of them. And there were 1/3 of the people that didn't really care. They were ambivalent. That had a nice house, a nice farm, they were taken care of. We like to think, I believe nowadays, that there was this unanimity amongst the country at the time that the revolution, everybody wanted to fight that revolution. It was not the case. Maybe 1/3 of the people called themselves patriots at the time. We've got a better percentage than that right now, I guarantee you. Let the media downplay it and say that it's not there, but we have a much better percentage working in our favor right now. They fought a revolution, created a nation, and saved it for us so that we could live here today and be free men. John C. Fremont, I'll take that. Free soil, free men, Fremont, the streets right down the street. Every time I go down that street, I think about that. I think about what a great patriot he was and how he led this country at that time. And we've got a legacy to carry on here in Las Vegas in this day, in this age, in this time. The time has found us. Do not forget it. Thank you very much, everybody.